followed by a magnetic disturbance, Wellington?
Wellington John.
Solar flare.
That's your basic solar flare, good for 10. All right, 5-pointer now. Name the 2 planets that astronomers can see passing across the face of the sun.
Watterson Chris.
Mercury and Venus.
Mercury and Venus is correct for 5. Both teams on the board now. Let's move to this 5-pointer. Which French science fiction novelist
Watterson Frank.
Victor Hugo.
wrote From the Earth to the Moon, Wellington?
Wellington John.
Jules Verne.
Jules Verne is correct for 5. Here's a 10-pointer now. Look at your monitors, please. For the first time, students, you're about to see a composite photograph of 4 satellites. Clockwise from top left, they are Ganymede, Io, Europa, and Callisto.
Watterson Rose.
They're satellites of Jupiter, the 4 largest ones, the Galilean satellites.
That is correct for 10 points. That's all we needed. Here now is another 10-pointer. Sinclair Lewis is the author of a novel set in the fictional Gopher Prairie.
Watterson Maureen.
Main Street?
That is Main Street. Good for 10. All right. Another 10-pointer now. Identify the term for the belief that all forms of government are oppressive.
Wellington John.
Anarchy.
Anarchy or anarchism is good for 10. Here now is a 15-pointer. Which term today is loosely used to describe rulers who accept no constitutional restraints on their power?
Watterson Maureen.
Dictator?
This word completes the description of Catherine II of Russia and Holy Roman Emperor Joseph II as enlightened what, Wellington?
Wellington Ajit.
Despots.
Despot is correct for 15 points. Here now is a 10-pointer. Who was the Norse god of thunder?
Watterson Rose.
Thor.
Thor is correct for 10. Here is a 15-pointer. Identify the mythological character who was compelled to roll a stone to the top.
Wellington John.
Sisyphus.
Sisyphus is correct for 15 points. Here is a 20-pointer. Listen to this familiar operatic aria featured in the movie Room with a View. And for 20 points, identify the Italian composer who wrote it.
Wellington Ajit.
Puccini.
Puccini is correct for 20 points. Nicely done. Let's move to this 5-pointer now. Which word used as a title for the rulers of Egypt from about 1570?
Watterson Rose.
The Pharaoh.
Pharaoh is correct for 5. Here is a 10-pointer now. Which group was in power when Marco Polo visited China?
Wellington Ajit.
The Mongols.
The Mongols are correct for 10. 15-pointer now. In 1987, which fictional character gave the United States Surgeon General the pipe he had used for the last 35 years, thus renouncing his smoking habit?
Wellington Davy.
Uncle Sam.
Watterson Frank.
Popeye.
Now, one of my favorite playthings, Mr. Potato Head. And we move from Mr. Potato Head into the big bonus. Not on potatoes this time. The category this time around is the sun, and this question is worth 20 points. In Greek mythology, he was the first god of the sun and the son of Hyperion and Theia. Name him.
Wellington Ajit.
Helios.
Helios is correct for 20 points. There is a 30-pointer now. Knowing that Helios was the sun god, what is a heliotrope and why is it so called?
Watterson Chris.
It's a plant that makes its food with sunlight.
Wellington.
Wellington Roed.
A plant that goes towards sunlight.
That is correct. It always has to face the sun. That's what we were looking for. Here's a 40-pointer now. A heliograph is either of 2 devices. One is an instrument for photographing the sun, but what's the other?
Wellington John.
An instrument for recording sunspots and solar flares.
Watterson.
Watterson Maureen.
An instrument for measuring the force of the sun's rays?
No, it's a device used to send signals by the military. It's based on mirrors which reflect the sun. Let's move to this 15-pointer. Some people undergo removal of a cancerous tumor from the bowel. What is the word for the surgical construction of an opening from the colon, permitting the passage of intestinal contents?
Watterson Frank.
Hernia hiatus.
Wellington. That's called a colostomy. Let's move to this 5-pointer now. Which Mormon leader was appointed the first governor of the territory?
Watterson Maureen.
Brigham Young.
Brigham Young's good for 5. Here is a 20-pointer. Now look again at your monitors, please, at this 18th century painting in which Juno is begging a favor from Aeolus, the Greek god of the winds. For 20 points, identify the French painter whose work this is.
Watterson Maureen.
David.
Wellington. Looks like David. Actually, though, it's Francois Boucher. Let's try this 15-pointer. Which U.S. president replaced Brigham Young with another governor and sent troops to Utah in 1857 during trouble that became known as the Utah War?
Watterson Marine.
Buchanan.
James Buchanan is correct for 15 points. Here is another 15-pointer. In 1774, which British navigator became the first to land on the main island of New Caledonia in the Pacific?
Wellington Ajit.
Drake.
Watterson Marine.
Cook.
James Cook is correct for 15 points. Here is a 10-pointer now. Give me the English meaning of the Latin word Caledonia.
Watterson Marine.
Scotland.
Scotland is correct for 10. All right. Here's a 5-pointer now. What is the additive inverse of -5?
Watterson Frank.
5.
5's good for 5. Let's move to this 10-pointer now. Listen carefully. You might need pencil and paper for this one. How many straight lines are determined by 4 different points in a plane if no 3 points are collinear?
Wellington Davy.
5.
Watterson Frank.
6.
6 is correct for 10 points. Here now is a 15-pointer. Listen to this composition featuring a European river of some note. And for 15 points, identify the song or tell me who composed it.
Wellington John.
The Blue Danube.
By Strauss is correct for 15 points. Even I knew that one. Here's a 5-pointer now. To which year was President Lincoln referring when he said, quote, 407 years ago?
Watterson Marine.
1776.
You got it. That's good for 5. Here's a 15-pointer now. In a letter to the president following Lincoln's dedication speech of the National Cemetery at Gettysburg in 1863, which famous orator wrote, quote, I should be glad if I could flatter myself that I came as near to the central idea of the occasion in 2 hours as you did in 2 minutes.
Watterson Marine.
It's Douglas.
Wellington. Tough question. That was Edward Everett. Let's move to this 15-pointer now. The first stamps issued by the United States appeared in 1847. Whose portraits appeared on the first?
Wellington Davy.
George Washington and Thomas Jefferson.
Watterson Rose.
George Washington and Benjamin Franklin.
Bingo. That's good for 15 points. All right. Big bonus time again, students. The category this time around is Bloody Thoughts. Here is a 20-pointer. A spiced drink of vodka and tomato juice is, of course, called
Watterson Marine.
Mary, the Bloody Mary of England. Mary the First.
It's called a Bloody Mary. It's named for a former Queen of England who was known as Bloody Mary. But how did Mary I earn that chilling nickname, Wellington?
Wellington Rowan.
By the persecution of Protestants she had.
That is correct. She had more than 300 burned at the stake. Let us move to this 30-pointer. You're going to need pencil and paper for this one, students. There are battle sites where so many men were killed that the soldiers gave the places names that haunt us to this day. I'm going to give you 2 names, and you tell me in which battle they occurred. Here are the names: Bloody Lane and Bloody Angle. Takers on Antietam and Gettysburg. Let's move to this 40-pointer now, excuse me. Abdul Hamid II was the 34th Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. As a result of the terrible massacres that he led against rebellious Europeans, he was called Abdul the Damned and Bloody Abdul. Now, which nationality was nearly exterminated by his vicious suppressions?
Wellington John.
Magyars, Hungarians.
Watterson.
Watterson Chris.
Greeks.
Tough question also, the Armenians. Let's move to this 10-pointer now. Which Scandinavian country is located on the Jutland Peninsula?
Wellington John.
Denmark.
That is Denmark, good for 10. All right. There's a 5-pointer now, 5-pointer. Which 2 countries other than Denmark are located on the Scandinavian?
Wellington Davy.
Sweden and Finland.
Watterson Chris.
Sweden and Norway.
And Norway is correct for 5. Here is a 10-pointer. Might need pencil, paper, calculators for this one. What is 10 factorial divided by 8 factorial?
Watterson Frank.
72.
That's correct.
Rohit.
90.
The answer is 90, and that's good for 10 points. Here is another 10-pointer, maybe pencil, paper, calculators for this one. Most importantly, listen carefully. If the area of a square is 64 square feet, what is the area of a square with its side length twice that of the original?
Watterson Frank.
250.
Wellington.
Wellington Ajit.
256 square
Gotta
inches.
have them immediately. That is correct for 10 points. Here is another 10-pointer. Name the author of the controversial work, The Satanic Verses.
Watterson Marine.
Rushdie.
In hiding, Salman Rushdie. Let's try this 15-pointer now. Some radio stations boycotted the music of a 70s pop star.
Watterson Maureen.
Stevens.
Cat Stevens is correct for 15 points. Here is a 5-pointer, which we won't get to, and that sound means that it's halftime. We will double-check the scores and come back and meet tonight's 8 contestants and advisors right after this short break.
The top 4 teams of In the Know will receive scholarships to The Ohio State University. The Ohio State University's Office of Student Financial Aid will award 3 In the Know scholarships to the championship team, 2 scholarships to the runner-up, and 1 scholarship to each of the semifinalist teams in this season's competition of In the Know. And now, here's Bill Schiffman.
It's halftime of our final In the Know game for 1990, and our score at halftime is the Wellington School 205. Bishop Watterson 150. We'll get right back to the second half of questions in tonight's final game after we meet tonight's 8 contestants and their advisors. First up for Bishop Watterson High School.
My name's Chris Goronsky. I'm a senior. This is my 3rd year on In the Know. I'm in the National Honor Society. I'm a National Merit Finalist. I'd like to thank all the Watterson fans who are here tonight. And I'd like to ask Ajit if he's had any out-of-body experiences at a barber lately.
I'm Frank Swenton. I'm a junior. It's my 3rd year on In the Know. I'm on the volleyball team, and I also enjoy basketball and softball.
My name is Maureen Duffy. I'm a senior. This is my 4th year on In the Know. I'm in National Honor Society. I'm on the newspaper, and I'd like to appeal for a prom date for myself and for my friend Katie.
I'm Rose Horn. I'm also a senior at Watterson. This is also my 4th year on In the Know. I do lots of things, editor-in-chief of the paper and the musical, National Honor Society, National Merit Finalist, but most of all, I'm head associate of the Page One Safe Tools Society.
The advisor for Bishop Watterson High School is Michael Crisp. We congratulate Michael and his team for making it to the In the Know finals and wish the 5 of them the best of luck during the second half of In the Know. First up for the Wellington School.
My name is Ajit Chowdhury. I'm a junior. This is my 3rd year on In the Know. And I'm in the band and I play basketball. And after I graduate, I like to start a farm in California and raise platypi.
Hi, my name is Rohit Gupta. I'm a junior. This is my 3rd year on In the Know. I'm a member of the varsity tennis team and the treasurer of the Spanish club. I'd like to thank my parents for having me, and I'd like to dedicate this game to the Sacred Cow.
Hi, my name is Davey Schwabel. I'm a senior. This is my 4th year on In the Know, and I'm captain of this year's team. I'd like to thank my grandmothers for the wonderful ties they've provided me. I'd like to thank our coach, Mrs. Schimberg, and I'd also like to thank the staff at In the Know for the great job they've done with me over the last 4 years. And finally, I'd like to say that I've always wondered why the people who invented stop signs decided which shape to make it.
Hi, I'm John Richardson. I'm a junior, and this is my 1st year on In the Know. This is my bass kazoo, Wally, and Willie, my other bass kazoo, couldn't be here tonight, but I'd like to thank both kazoos for their moral support throughout the tournament.
With that, Orlean Schimberg is the advisor for the Wellington School. We thank her for bringing her team down this evening. Again, congrats on getting this far into the finals. Great job for both teams. Our score at halftime, the Wellington School 205, Bishop Watterson 150. Good luck to both teams. Again, remember, the last 3 minutes, all point values will be doubled. Let's